crucible of the cosmos, in a realm where might, magic, and high adventure supreme. Let me tell the tale of a lone rider who is being hunted down. Her cargo is the key to her freedom and to her damnation. She blazes a trail across the foreign land, and hopes to use her pursuers in the crystal labyrinth as the dragon pass. The ripple of this moment cascades into a chain of events that will throughout the lives of all in the realm, especially a teenage boy named Ito.
Hello. Oh, let's do that again there. Bam. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Creative Native. I am Ryan Cardinal, aka The Creative Native, and today I was supposed to have on a very special guest, but unfortunately, due to circumstances, aka COVID, he is not able to come on. So hopefully, Rich Boy from Comic Impressions will make a full and speedy recovery in the future here, and I will get him onto the show because there is a wealth of information that person has that I cannot give to you. I can show you the website, but there's lots of stuff that he knows his business inside and out, and I was really hoping to have him on, but he's got bigger fish to fry right now rather than being on the show, and I hope him all the best and a speedy recovery when it comes to what he's going through right now. His heart was willing, though. He actually did say that he wanted to come on, but he wasn't feeling 100%, and I was just like, no, we'll rebook it. You rest up, you you do you, man. And so that's where we're at. But I did want to show these right here. So if you go to Comic Impressions, let me just bring that up super quick here, as professional as I am. Hope everybody out there is having a good day. And Darren Wagner, I see you out there. Hope you're having a good one, man. I'm just going to bring this up here so people that watch this on the replay. Let's see. There we go. So yeah, this is the website, Comic Impressions, and they have this really cool thing. You can request samples and get in touch with them. And if you're a comic book, somebody's making comic books and you're not exactly sure on exactly what it is you're looking for, hit them up, ask them for a sample. It's a free sample. It's easily worth anywhere from, I'd say easily like $25 worth of material that he sends you. And it's all the print quality stuff that they do. And just bring it down here. Just fill out this quick form. We'll send you samples. I got mine within a week. And that's being up here in Canada as well. As soon as I got hold of him, we put it right out, and I was able to actually see the quality. So if you're interested in this and you want to see some of the work that they have done, this is one of the books that they sent me. This is Scout Comics. I believe that they're doing the majority of the printing for Scout Comics right now. And yeah, this was one of the free samples, a full-on graphic novel of Once Our Land. And yeah, print quality is spot on. I gave it the old Marvel test. If you don't know what the Marvel test is, that is you literally just hold the comic book in your hands and see if any ink comes off. And yeah, no ink came off. I even gave it a little bit of the wet thumb and wet fingerprint, is where you just basically just start rubbing in one spot and seeing if anything comes off. And no, nothing comes off. So super impressed. Now, one of the things that I wanted to ask him is if this was part of their offset printing or if this is part of their digital printing. One of the good things that Rich and Comic Impressions have at their disposal is the new HP 12,000 Indigo printer, which is a digital printer that gives you offset quality printing. So absolutely killer quality prints when it comes to your comic books. Some of you out there, if you've dealt with people before, when it comes to printing, when they do the digital printing, you can always tell that it's digital. Like, you can literally look at each comic book and notice that there's a slight difference between this one and that one. With the HP, everything apparently is like on point. Like, there is almost absolutely no difference between the digital and the offset. So, and that's how they can keep the cost averaged out and also keep them down to a very, very affordable rate, especially if you're doing small print runs, which is what I'm doing. So it makes them a very, very viable option for me, and especially the way that I'm going to be doing my comic book, which I'll lead right into right now. Caius, A Story of Blood and Stone, issue 1 and 2, which you can join up to the mailing list right there on Indiegogo. Link is in the description below. Darren, yeah, I'd love that info too. Yeah, man, he knows this stuff inside and out. They've been printers for, I think they started in 1985, and they started off as doing like mail away services. So the fulfillment side, they actually deal with all that stuff too. They deal with Gemini mailers. That was another thing I wanted to ask him about, just because that's one big thing that people outside of the US would like to, have something dialed in for that. And they also do all the printing for any additional materials like bookmarks, trading cards. They do all that stuff too. So you can bundle everything up and ship it out from there. Now, the only downside is with my project here, Caius, because the way that I'm doing everything is very limited, low print run, and there's like lots of little extras that I'd like to add on, but those are things that I actually have to do on my end. So for some of the stuff, depending on what it is, I might be able to use a fulfillment service, but for the majority of it, I still actually have to have a lot of hands-on stuff. So but yeah, anybody who's watching this on the replay, you can head on over to Indiegogo and sign up to the mailing list. When you sign up to the mailing list, you're going to be given the access on launch day to the secret tier, which is a very limited print run of issue 1 and 2 that will be available. And there's only 100 issues. Well, actually less of that now, because of the previous secret tier. Yeah, I think there's going to be maybe 90, approximately 90 available for this particular print run, and those are only available by signing up, and you get access to the secret tier. And I'm also toying around with something right now. I'm also thinking of doing a limited ash can for an upcoming project, and that'll only be available for the first 250 backers. So that's something that I'm playing around with right now. But as of today, I'm working on animation. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, anybody in the chat that pops in, you want to shill, you want to promote your project, something that you have either upcoming or ongoing on Indiegogo, feel free to hit me up. And I can shoot you the link via DMs on Twitter. And then from there, we can talk about your project. Let's see if anybody's up there. And yeah, I posted the work in progress of this last night on Twitter. And it seemed to have a lot of good reaction to it, which is awesome. I've been chipping away at this in between this, tattooing, and just, everything else that's coming up is just like, all right, well, here we go. Just checking out here. Oh, it's just stuff from my animation. Okay. Also just found out too that there is anybody who is a drum and bass head. AMC is having a 2-hour live, as of right now, D&B special going on over at Drum and Bass Arena. If you are a drum and bass head like me, guarantee that is going to be something I will be watching later on. Some hype. Yo, Josh, what's going on? Welcome to the show. Yeah, you mentioned the whole camera angle thing with Clip Studio. Yeah, Clip Studio now has 2D camera control, so you can truck, zoom, all that kind of stuff. But funny enough, I actually didn't use it at all for this shot. Um, I'll run through what I did here because I'm dumb. What I actually did with this shot, as I come in, I have him, I have Nitto, the main character, and because I have him drawn as a vector, I can shrink him down. So he's still on frames. And so he gets animated smaller and smaller. And the background, the way that I made it zoom, is that you have the ability to scale, like zoom in, zoom out. And that's the way that I did this. I just scaled the background and then timed it with to match the zoom out of Nitto, the character there. And which was, kind of tricky because the way that I animated him, he's kind of got like this, like he's got a little bit of zip at a certain point, so little tricky to time that up. But again, this clip is only on here for like literally a second, like not even a second. Hey, Paulus, what's going on? So yeah, all this work is just for like a second of animation. But it's going to look dope once it's done. But yeah, slowly getting my head around all of how to use Clip Studio Paint for animating. There's obviously tons of ways that I could be doing things differently in here. But like this was more of, I do these stupid things where I'm just like, oh, I don't know this. Let me give myself a task on it and then I'll figure it out from there. That's how animation be. Yeah, totally. Yeah, the way that I say it is whatever you got to do to get the job done, from get point A to point B, and however you get there, get the shot. Like that's the thing. But yeah, this is all brand new learning experience for me. The way that I went about it is I just went and took a bunch of old 80s and 90s anime intros, cut and spliced them up, and then found the timing and rhythm for stuff. So that way, like if I was to animate this, I'd have to storyboard everything. But at least when I have everything broken up frame by frame, I can actually see how the timing is. Like, oh, that's on like 3 frames, and that's on actual ones, and I could actually see the breakdown of it. So that's been helping me out immensely, because going over top of that stuff, I've actually learned more doing this than I ever did when I went to animation school. Like it's all fundamentals in the animation school. They're like, like here's, a blade of grass. It goes like this. And I'm just like, I'm literally falling asleep in class. And I felt so bad for my instructor because like he's the nicest guy ever. But I was like, yo, I'm just gonna take a nap on the animation table. He's like, what? He's like, yeah, I'll be fine, man. I'll figure it out. Let's see. Darren, hey, Paulus, seeing you over on Richard Friends. Yeah, man, I was catching a little bit of that stream. It looked like a good one. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that one. I haven't done hand and drawn animation in a really long time. I mostly do 2D puppet rig animation because that's the method we use at work. Yeah, you can basically puppet animation tweens in Clip Studio Paint as well. I just finished watching a tutorial on that, but for the vibe that I'm going for this, I want it to look like a early 90s anime intro for the trailer. That's what I'm aiming for. Learn by doing. Yep, totally. It was an epic stream. Yeah, man. It was. I popped in just before I was supposed to start the stream with my guest, but as I mentioned earlier in the stream, my guest came down with COVID, so that's a no-go until he is completely recovered. I learned so much more just by jumping into projects than I ever did in animation school. Yeah, it was like doing this the way that I did it, because like in my head, I'm like, all right, I want to animate a fully animated 1-minute trailer. And I'm like, you're an idiot. You know how much trouble you had just doing your previous trailers? And it's like, well, I want to learn this stuff. I want to know this stuff because this will help me with my artwork. Like it just goes hand in hand. So I thought of a plan, made the plan, executed the plan, and now I'm, doing part of the execution. Yo, Mo Biggs, what's going on? Almost got away with it. Word for those damn kids. I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm just going to be working on this. If you have any questions or anything, oh man, so many thoughts in my timeline. I love it though. It's too bad. I hope he is well and recovers. I was looking forward to the interview. Yeah, me too, man. Like it was one of the ones that I was super looking forward to because I listened to him on the Comics Launch podcast, and that's how I found out about his company and really what he had to say in the podcast I listened to a couple of years ago. That's what really swayed me toward them and actually dealing with them. They were super friendly, super knowledgeable, super on point. Pointed out a couple things. There, one of my print runs, they had there's a little bit of moire patterning happening with some of the halftones, and they were like, yeah, we stopped the presses to make sure that it wasn't something on our end, so we want you to look at it. And so they halted everything, had me look at it, and I was like, no, that's the actual print file, that's good to go. And they're like, all right, cool, we just wanted to double check. So little things like that, it goes a long way when it comes to a printer when they're actually going out of their way to do things. Let's see what else you guys are saying here. I was planning on doing an animated trailer for Pineapple Pizza Man. Yeah, do it up. Holy moly, hail Mo Biggs. Might not have a full trailer for the first campaign, but definitely full graphic novel when we get there. Yeah. In my head, even for the story, when I'm drawing it, my mind is thinking in animation beats. So if any of you have the first Caius out there, issue 1, bear in mind when you read it more in the vibe of if it was animated, and it'll have a different flow as opposed to just reading it as if it's a comic, if that makes any sense. Pineapple Pizza Man, where'd you come up with such a dastardly villain? Pineapple Pizza Man is a hero, the tastiest hero ever. I don't know, man. I do like me a good Hawaiian pizza. But I am Canadian, and it was invented by Canadians, so blame Canada. Let's move this forward here. So yeah, I was working on this last night. I was just working on this little fairy character up here. And one of the things with hand-drawn animation, like, again, these are those things that, you forget until you start doing it again, is you don't need perfect pictures, like it's on there for a fraction of a second. It just needs to read what it's doing with the gesture and the motion. Like, I was struggling with like this face here, but then I was like, dude, it's a frame. Like it literally zips by so quick. I was like, oh yeah, I don't need to worry about that. Also, to trying to figure out like what style of animator that I am. Things that are like stop and slow, like very methodical motion. I don't think I'm there. Like, that requires a level of subtlety and mastery that I'm not even close to yet. But when it comes to things like action and fast moving, there's a lot of cheats that I can get away with. And for the moment, that seems to be definitely more easy for me to do. Let's see, Paula Arts. I was researching stuff for print a couple of weeks ago, came across their site and then your video about them. They sent me samples. Can't wait to do a review of it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. The sample package is awesome. Here, let's zoom in here. So unfortunately, I only have 2 of the sample sheets on hand. So they actually send you what the paper actually is, like, so you can be like, oh, what's your 70-pound gloss text like? And it's just like, oh, this is it. This is what it feels like. This is what it's going to look like. And like, oh, okay. And then, 80-pound gloss cover. So you get the cover and you can actually like, get the feel of it. And me, because I'm me and I'm a weirdo, they are comic size. And for me, I was able to actually weigh out the pages, make a calculation, rough estimate on how much my actual book was gone away, and which for me is very important because being in Canada, shipping, all that kind of shit. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Canada is the worst for shipping and handling. I will say, though, it is set up weird where it's like from here to here, it costs this much. But if you want to add a bunch of stuff from here to here, yes, your price doubles. But, you could literally put a sofa in there and ship that out. So it is an interesting thing. But then again, it comes down to what people are willing to pay for shipping and handling, and also what you can offer. It's just a shame that initial space is so small, but it's also the cheapest. Canucks represent Canada. We're ashamed that they mentioned they called it Hawaiian pizza. Well, you can't really call it Canadian if it has pineapple on it. all the native pineapples that are everywhere up here in Canada. My buddy Les once convinced this kid in Arizona because he was skateboarding out there, and it's like, oh man, where are you guys from? He's like, oh, we're from Canada. And he's like, whoa, no way, like you guys can skateboard up there? And my buddy Les, being the smart ass, is like, yeah, but only for like a couple weeks out of the year, and we have to go travel down to the border of the US because the snow goes right up to the border, and there's a small spot when we could just sweep off the snow, and we skate that for 2 weeks. And the kid was like, oh, fuck, really? He's like, no, fucking dumbass. Where am I located? I'm up in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is pretty fucking awesome at the moment. As far as everything going on in the world being the way that it is, we're not under crazy lockdowns or anything like that. Everything is heavily, suggested and implied. Masks are mandatory in businesses, but nobody's really like losing their minds. Everybody's, keeping pretty cool. Restaurants are open at, I think, like a 1/3 capacity, so you can still grab stuff. It's almost normal, compared to other parts of Canada where it's like, Sim, he said it's like pretty much in lockdown out there, out in Quebec. Opposite side, yeah, West Coast. But yeah, thankfully nobody's lost their mind. I had a friend of mine show up from Calgary, and they're dealing with it the way that they're dealing with it. And then when she came out here, she was just like, "Oh, it's like normal." It's like, yeah, it's pretty laid back, pretty chill. She's like, no, like even the people, the people aren't freaking out. I was like, yeah, everybody's just chilled. Like they're like, yeah, you stay over there, you do your thing. Ottawa's pretty much normal and chill for the most part. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I always wonder what the other city parts are like. Like I know a buddy of mine, he's out in near one of the military bases, and he's pretty paranoid about it right now. So, but he's got a kid and stuff, so he's kind of gone to the extreme, unfortunately. So I have a Newfie friend, he's hating it there. Well, but that goes without saying whether it's COVID or not. It's freaking Newfoundland. There's only two ways to enjoy Newfoundland. You either enjoy it or you don't. One of my old coworkers is from the Rack. A really good tattoo artist named Allie. Killer work. And she has a deep hatred for AC/DC. Because apparently the quote unquote, what did she call them? She had a specific name for the type of person in Newfoundland. Skeevies? I can't remember. But anyways, just one of those things where just anytime AC/DC would come on in the shop, she just just fucking just like, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. But to me, I'm like, hey, this is the music of my people. She's like, what are you talking about? You're not Australian. And it's like, no, but growing up near the reservation and stuff like that, like you get indoctrinated with AC/DC, CCR, and old country. Like that's just the way that it is. And just a heads up to anybody out there, if you're ever blasting through a reserve, make sure that you have AC/DC blaring out the stereo, and you'll be pretty much fine. Virus threat protection, blah blah blah. But let's hop onto some animating here. Now I warn you guys, animating is action packed. It's full of excitement. Be prepared to have your hair blown back by the sheer action that is the world of animation. I was already going to be doing that anyway. Hell yeah, Mo. Yeah, that's how you do it. Oh, there it is. Hey, Amanda B, what's going on? Hope you're doing well today. Just gotta make sure that I'm on the right. Is this it? Okay, good. Yeah, one thing with Clip Studio Paint, and when you get into the whole animation thing, your layer count and your folder count just explodes. So definitely keep track of where things are, because you have this section. Let's pull it up here. There we go. Yeah, so you got your regular layer section over here, but then you also have your timeline, which is right here. Now, I was having a pain in the ass trying to figure out how to animate, but one of the tutorials, though, he said, anything that you put in your layer files will show up in your animation. You just have to assign it in your timeline. And I was like, oh, that's the missing piece that I've been, banging my head against, because, I was like, why isn't it showing up? Like, it should just show up. And it's like, no, you got to assign it to the timeline. Once it's assigned in the timeline, then you can start adjusting it as needed. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Why didn't it's one of those things where, like, here's the key to the missing room. Now you can go play in the room. That's pretty much exactly what it was. So you got that. And I'm coming in cold. No warm-ups or anything, so it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But like I said, I don't have to draw perfect for animation, which is fantastic. I just got to draw, as perfect as I can for the comic book. And anybody who's picked up Caius issue 1, issue 2 is going to be looking a little bit different, because issue 1 is technically all a flashback. And in the story, flashbacks are handled a little bit differently in the way that is shown visually. I got stable vision. Okay. So once we get into the more core part of the story, it will be looking a little bit different. Lit. Now, things don't have to be perfect, but they also don't have to look like shit either. You ever draw a line, like as soon as you draw it, you're like, ugh. Now, I got to be careful with that stuff, because with tattooing, you don't get a second chance at a line. You can thicken a line up, but if you thicken that line up, you might have to thicken up all the line work. So you run run the risk of killing the vibe of your piece if you decide to thicken up the line work a bit. Let's see. So yeah, hair would be, yeah, going that way a little bit. But I am having a blast learning how to animate, which is super awesome. I'm going to be putting together a little bit of a teaser trailer coming up here once I hit the halfway mark for this animation. Which is getting close. I still got a lot to do. I would love to be able to finish the full minute of animation, but I'm going to have to see where it all lies when I'm all said and done. But I'm going to be working on it regardless, just because I have it all pre-edited. The pre-edit looks dope. So even if it comes close to looking like that, it's going to look pretty fucking cool. It's now one of the things with the animation, it won't be colored. It'll all be in black and gray because the comic book is black and gray. Plus that also saves me a ton of time doing the animation. That way I don't have to worry about colors. I just have to worry about contrast. So that'll save some time, but in its own way, that creates its own little unique set of tricks and issues and problems. That's why I never went into tattooing. Just work now. Ink on paper, skin is unforgiving. Oh, completely unforgiving. And there's also the factor of, even if you nail the tattoo perfectly, like you knock it out of the park, then you have to hope and cross your fingers that it heals good. And that's something that's beyond your control whatsoever. If you tattoo it absolutely perfectly and the person that has it, treats their fresh tattoo like shit, no matter how good you executed it, and it heals awful, the worst part is that comes back on you as the artist, no matter what was done. I had this one client years and years ago. This was in my first 2 years of tattooing. Did this tattoo on a lady, and this is back in the 90s. So like things like armbands and like tramp stamps were the normal thing. And I tattooed this like multicolored armband on her. And I remember doing it and I was like, yeah, man, that turned out freaking awesome. That was like, for me, that was a tough piece at the time. And she ends up coming back about a month later, and she comes back in just, sheer attitude and just, piss and vinegar. It's like, you fucked up my arm. And I look at it and it's like very like raised and irritated. And I'm like, oh shit. And when you're a tattoo artist, the first thing you think of is like, you run through your mind everything that you did, like everything, like, what did I do? And you just run through the procedure. And in my head, as I'm running through the procedure, it's like, no, I nailed that. And I'm looking at it, and I'm concentrating. I'm just like, did you happen to pick at this? And her friend that was with her, thank God she was there, she speaks up and she goes like, yeah, she picked the fuck out of it. And like, I turned to her like death glare. And then she just kind of does this like, and I'm just like, yeah, you picked the fuck out of this so bad. You've scarred this up so bad. Like, I cannot tattoo over this until the scar tissue goes down. Like, you got to wait at least 6 months to a year before I could even touch you. So get the hell out of the shop here. So yeah, thank goodness her friend was there, because I was like beating my brain up, like, what did I do? But I was like, no, it was all her. And thank goodness her friend narked her out. Let's see. It seemed like they were struggling last night understanding Fizz. It was a little awkward in their defense. I don't have very good audio, but I don't think it was most of how he talks. Why hockey couldn't. Oh, I must have missed something last night. Was that on Bancroft show? Hey, Nirem, how's it going? Obviously, Nerium has Bonds that is live on Indiegogo right now. And that thing is doing awesome. Hope you're doing well today, Nerium. Let's pop that up here for a second. Bam. Oh, that's Canadian currency. There we go. Oh man, you're like $200 away from 10 grand. That's awesome. Just cracked over 200 backers. Hell yeah. And you got 21 days left. Booyah. That is badass. And if you haven't backed Bonds yet, definitely go do so. And yeah, just over like 100 and oh god, I can't do math. So we're 100 something bucks away. But that's awesome. You cracked over 200 backers. That's badass. Definitely go. Anybody who's out there watching this on the repeat, go check out Bonds on Indiegogo today. Only 21 days left to back. Yo, Black Rose. Black Rose Comics. That's what it was. Cool. Yeah, I didn't catch that last night. I was on. I was checking out Bancrofts last night for a little bit. Yeah, I try and pop in as much as I can while I'm working. Nerium, can't wait for that stream with comic impressions. I'm doing great. A little tired. Yeah. Unfortunately, Rich came down with COVID, so he won't be on. But I told him I'll check in on him next week, see how he's feeling, and hopefully we can rearrange the interview because he's got a lot of insight into the printing side of things and the distribution side and the fulfillment side. And it's something that I think that we all need to hear kind of like from the horse's mouth, as it were, because that he does it, like his company is doing it. And it's one thing for a company to claim that they do it. Like we've all seen what happens. We're like, oh yeah, I do a fulfillment. Let's just, put a stamp on it and mail it out. It's like, oh, that's not how it works. Yeah, I'll just print the postage right on the back of the comic. Let's do that. No, it's definitely something that you want somebody who knows what they're doing. And they started off, I think, as a fulfillment company, a printing flyer and fulfillment company back in the 80s. So they have a good bead on how to do it. But I do hope he has a full and speedy recovery because, yeah, it's when you get it, it's no joke. Speaking of jokes, my kid's going in for to get his wisdom teeth removed tomorrow. So that's why I am not doing any streams for tomorrow, because chances are my kid is going to be high as hell, and I'll have to take care of him while he's recovering from that. So he's getting all four wisdoms pulled out of his face tomorrow. So that'll be entertaining. He's kind of looking forward to it, which is funny. But we'll find out tomorrow how that actually goes. Nerium, what would be super cool if you could do that with Kablam and mix them too, like put Printing Giants into an interview? Well, that's the thing with this stuff. You just got to reach out to people and see who's willing. I literally just gave Rich like, hey man, I just want to see if you're interested in doing an interview. And he got back to me super quick. He's like, yep, I'm on it. What day? Cool. Let's book it. And then unfortunately this morning when I got a hold of him, he's like, oh, I got COVID. I'm like, oh shit. Damn. Yeah, because there's a couple things I definitely want to ask them about different types of covers, like what they can do for cover work. I want to see if they have lenticular covers, or if not, then if they can source it out, if they do foil. Like these are the things that I wanted to ask them, because I don't know if they mention it on the site, because I do know that they do have specialty printing services available, but you got to ask for them. Darren Wagner, the guy with Kablam, has done interviews. There's $10 how to make comic class on how to drink comics.net. Oh, okay. No, I think it's one of those things where it's always a good idea for those guys in that world to kind of get a face out to people like us, because like it's one of the most neglected parts of making the comic book, because we literally put it off to the last second. You know, we're so worried about drawing the book and editing the book and crowdfunding the book, and then when it comes time to print it, everyone's like, crap. Where am I going to get this printed? Stickers, maybe metallic glossy effects. I'd be interested in all that. Yeah, I can't see why they wouldn't be able to do stickers as well. So yeah, that's what I wanted to know too. He mentioned to me that they have more unlisted options. Yeah, they got a ton of unlisted stuff. So I don't have any of my comic on me. I'm at my home studio right now. But for Caius, actually, I wanted it to be to feel as much as a manga as possible. So I asked him, I was like, hey, do you do like the newspaper news stock that's in manga paper? Like, you know, like just that classic, you know, off-white, it has that feel to it, you know, like that was the vibe that I was going for. And he was like, no, we actually can't print on that paper, because the paper that's used for this literally comes in 50-ton rolls, and is like, we don't have the means or ability to print on that because we're not like a newsprint service. I was like, oh shit, I didn't know that. And it's like, yeah, like we can't even get that paper because it's only made for that, and it only gets shipped out that way. But he was able to put it on a 50-pound uncoated stock. It is a bright white, but it does have this kind of tooth and feel to it, which was what I was looking for. So what I'm doing for Caius is the standard edition issues of the first print runs, the first 350 copies, which I'll be selling 300 of those. They will all be this type of paper. They'll be that uncoated stock. Now, if we end up selling out of those, this is how it's going to become, quote unquote, you'll know which edition that you got. Once it comes after that, then I'll be switching over to like the 70-pound, probably matte for the interiors after that. That way, anyone who gets the first print run, you'll know that that's the first print run simply by the paper stock. So anybody who's like a hardcore collector down the road, if this thing, you know, takes off, that's how it's going to be, is very, very small limited print run for that first set. It's always going to be 350 with a 300 release. So that's kind of the idea that I have going forward. And then once those sell out, then the next version comes out, and that'll have the variant cover. But the variant covers don't come out simply just be like, oh, I have a variant cover for this. No, the back stock has to sell out before the variant cover comes into play. And when the variant comes into play, same thing, there's only going to be a limited print run of that variant. That one sells out, then another variant comes along, that sells out, and that's how I'm doing my stuff. And that's how Comic Impression comes in, because they're able to actually do very, very low cost variant covers. The way that they have it set up is with their digital file stuff. So you don't have to have a big expenditure when it comes to setting up for that, because their offset printer, if you're printing that many, then that's just the interiors. They can offset print that. But then for the covers, it's digital print with their HP 1200, and it does a bang up job. You'll never know the difference. And then that way it opens up more options on how to do variant covers without, bleeding the bank on it. Another service that they offer, which they didn't have when I started doing Caius, is they can now individually number the comic books. So, since I'm doing limited print runs, it'll be like 1 of 300, 2 of 300, 4 of 300. So that way you're going to know which number you actually have. So that's something that I'm going to be doing with them. But I think he actually has the ability to foil those as well, like foil emboss those. So, but like I said, he's got way more information on stuff that they can do that isn't offered on the website, and I'll be going into that hopefully when he recovers and we get him on here next time. Might be interested option for AR-15 Orangutan, a limited run of 1 million copies. Very limited, It's like that limited run of Spawn back in the day. That we all have hanging out. You know what? That was one comic that I actually never did get was Spawn #1. During that hype, that whole era of the Image guys and all that kind of stuff, I remember being at my cousin's place and going to the gas station. And I seriously had, I think I had like $8 left to my name. I had like no money. I'm at my cousin's place. I'm in the city and I'm just like, oh man, this is like the last $8 I got. Like, well, let me go grab a Slurpee. And then I go into the gas station, and in the spinner rack was Spawn #2. And it was, I can't remember how much it was, but I remember being like, oh man, Spawn 2's like in the gas station? I thought these were only going to be in comic book shops. Shit. And in my head, I'm just like, well, fuck, can I even get a Slurpee now? Like, what can I get? Can I, because I had to weigh out how much money I had left, and was it worth it? And I was like, yeah, it's worth it. And it's like, but you don't have #1. It's like, I don't care. I got to read this. I want it to have value for collectors. The general public can settle for reprints. It's funny. So with AR-15 Orangutan, have you even started writing anything, Mo? Has the dread of putting a project together dawned on you, or is this still just in the having fun with it section? And in case you didn't see, there is already a GI orangutan comic out there. Got a loose plot outline. Nice. He's waiting for Comics Blast. Aren't we all? Aren't we all waiting for that? Don't get me wrong, I don't mind automation, but there's a certain amount of life when it comes to making comic books that you don't really want to automate. Like, I can see that being used for like infographics and stuff like that, but not for comics. Somebody will find its properly intended use. Imagine if R can be the first book created with Comics Blast history in the making. And I'm gonna see if I can find. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. It's been popping around on Twitter lately. What is it? But yeah, it literally is a GI orangutan comic, and I think he has 4 issues out of it already. And it's being put out through Indiegogo, I believe. So there is competition in the monkey market. Or the ape market, I'm sorry. Sorry to offend. I think Kanpa has pushed it out a bit. Don't mind me while I browse through this quickly. If I don't find it here super quick, I'll just get back to drawing. So I don't know how much of a fan of all y'all out there are battle chasers. I'm pretty stoked that the book's coming out. I had a feeling that Joe Mad was not going to be drawing it, and my suspicions were proved correct. I've been following the artist that is going to be doing it. Who's it? Ludo, I think his name is. And I think he's worked with Joe in his company, was it Airship Syndicate? I think they've worked together on projects for the Battle Chasers video game. Because when I started seeing Ludo's artwork, I was just like, oh, this is very much in the vein of Joe. And I asked him, I was like, hey, man, you going to be working on Battle Chasers 10? And this was like maybe about a year ago. And he's like, oh, I'd love to do that. And I was like, it'd be really cool to see you on there. I kept like on Instagram, just like, he's like, oh, I can't really say if I would be or not, but it would be really cool if I was. And in the back of my head is like, yeah, he's going to be working on it. And then lo and behold, he's the penciler for it. I know a lot of people are bummed out that Joe's not doing it, but I'm actually more stoked that the story gets to move forward. I think it is hands down one of the silliest moves that a creator has not capitalized on in anything. Like, I understand Joe Mad wants to do video games, but he could have just hired guns and just be like, yo, we're going to have Adam Warren do this. Or he's got the money and pull to start pulling in like actual manga creators and be like, yo, you want to do a 5-issue run of Battle Chasers? Like seeing a 5-issue run of Battle Chasers by Yusuke Murata. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. And he's got the pull to do it. But the fact that he just kind of left it out in the void for almost 20 years, just, collecting dust. That is literally somebody who just left a pile of cash out in their backyard and let rain get all over it. Good luck to the guy. Yeah. We actually have an ape character too. US Ape. Nice. He's an albino gorilla cyborg. Dope. What kind of ape is he? We don't know what you're talking about. Sounds badass. He's not talking about Six Gun Gorilla, some other book. Too bad we can't post pictures here. He's very Liefeld inspired. Oh, dope. That's awesome. I assume there's going to be a chant somewhere in the book of US Ape, US Ape. Speaking of someone leaving a pile of cash in their backyard, when are we finally getting Buick Starpoon? Right. That, yeah. Who? Oh, what's that guy's name again? I know I'm following him on YouTube. I forget who he is. Like, he pops up when he's streaming. Ooh, I like that. I think his name is Chris or something. Read comics, they're good for you. Yeah. That's it. Let's bump this back down. All right, next one. Man, I have so many scenes left. I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, that's his channel name. No, I think uses the wrong there. Yeah, whenever I put the word there into my phone, I've screwed it up so many times that it always comes up as like the poor. And I always have to delete it from the memory. I was like, no, like stop doing that. But I keep doing it enough where it's just like, oh, you mean the poor? Just because of my fat fingers texting. It's like, no, don't mean that at all. His YouTube name is Star Tiger. Fuck yeah, man. Buick Starpoon. Okay, yeah. Yeah, 2021 is going to be an awesome year for everybody with crowdfunding. We're spoiled for choice at this point. Got Miriam's book coming out. Witch Hunters coming out. I got Xenotype the other day. I still have to read it. It's at the shop right now. I was amazed that it actually didn't come completely destroyed through Canada Post. It came beat up, but not destroyed. Not to the usual effect that Canada Post likes to put their signature spin onto shipping and handling. Which is good. Usually shows up like it's been tackling a moose. Let's pull this back here. There we go. Yeah, another weird thing with animating is drawing with a dead line weight. Super weird. It's kind of akin to tattooing a little bit. Doing maybe like more the traditional like Americana style with the dead line, and the new neo-traditional style. But drawing for years with doing varying line weights and then just kind of doing this dead line weight, it's just like it gives that animated feel to it, but I feel so awkward drawing like it. It's just like, but then again, I don't want to be having to do line weights on every single thing. That'd be nuts for animation. But there are people out there doing it now, like what is it, Demon Slayers? The line work on the animation on there is freaking bonkers. Like, I didn't realize how good that show was until I started watching it. I finally broke down. I was like, all right, let's give this a go. And then I watched it and I was just like, oh, that's why everyone's freaking out about this. And the character Tanjiro is so fucking good. Like, literally a legit good guy. Not like nice guy, but a good guy. Inherently good. But not in your atypical, like, shonen protagonist sort of way. I do find it funny with all the anti-Bancroft weeb talk on his channel lately. It cracks me up. Yeah, everybody's been going after him for the webtoons thing, which is funny. I originally had Caius on webtoons. I think I had the first 5 pages up there, and then I just took it down. I was having, but I will say this: you do get actual interaction, which is the one thing I will say about that platform is the people that are on there are actually engaged. So as a place to build, I have no idea if that would be viable. But there's so many different options now when it comes to crowdfunding. Like there's no one way to do it, you know? Like, who is it? Oh, I can't remember the name off my head, but they have a webtoons, and then they did, I think, 2 or 3 Kickstarters, and they ended up pulling in, I think it was like 100,000 for the first one, and then like just under 300,000 for their second one. So there is the option of doing it that way, but you know, that's a lot of front end stuff you got to give up. You know, that's doing it for 3 years and building up your crowd and then doing it. But whatever works. Will not knock somebody for making that much cash, no matter how long it takes. To be fair, we'd go after Bancroft no matter what he did or does. Got to keep consistent. That's the key. And I do find it interesting too now that there are, like, there's always been factions within like the CG community, but now, you know, it seems to be getting definitely more segmented and growing in each segment. So I think that's a very positive thing, because I know people were concerned about the whole scene stagnating, but it's cool that it's still growing, because there are creators coming in that don't know the, you know, quote unquote, the deep lore of CG, but where they come in, you can see like where they got in, how they got in, why they got in, just like everyone else. And it's still cool that you can see the roadmap that everybody's taken to get to where CG is. the one downside with the animation, though. It's so time consuming, so tedious. Yeah, when I was working for the animation companies, only Bardell had their animation team. I can't remember the guy that I was working with. Seasoned, super veteran of the industry. I think he's been working in animation for 40 years. And it's like those dudes, those are the guys I was like, oh man, these guys have like tons of tricks that I can get, learn stuff from. But you end up just grinding away doing your own thing, and you don't actually really have a lot of time to sit down with them to go over stuff. And the last thing they want to do is go over shit with some newbie, But I did get to pick the brains of a couple of them. Just my stabilization, clean that line up. And again, somebody's been doing it for so long, to them, they're just like, yeah, hey, just do this, 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 and this. And I'm sitting there just like, wait, hold on. What moves first? What frame moves first? Like, what do you want me to do with this? And he's like, yeah, if you pull the background and you do this while pushing the foreground while you do this, it makes the character look like they're rolling over, the horizon. And I'm just like, I would never have thought that. Again, somebody who's been doing it for so long that they're just like, yeah, this is fucking second nature. I did have lots of fun in the industry, though. Animators do like to drink. I think they drink pretty hard. So Friday nights were always super funny. One company that I worked for, oh my god, I swear I stuck around there as long as I did just because pretty much every Friday was a staff drinking day, paid for by the company, and there was a lot of times that I ended up getting like just annihilated, like just like fucking stupid drunk on the company bill, and it's just like, oh man, like going into my wallet to pay for stuff, and they were just like, no, this is on the company. I was like, I had drank a lot. And they're like, yep, nope, it's on the company. I was like, fuck, is it like this every Friday? And then they look at each other like, yeah, pretty much. I'm like, oh my god, my poor liver. Gonna roll out, brother. Might be back, Hill. Yeah, Darren. Thanks for popping by, man. Time is it here? I'm be drawn for like another. I'd like to get this scene, at least all the line work done for it. So I'm gonna be working till that's all wrapped up. That's the plan for today. And if anybody pops on and gets a hold of me on Twitter, I'll bring them in. But I am kind of itching to listen to this AMC. It's a 2-hour live stream. I'll have to, you know what? I'll just wait until it's done, and I'll just download it. Because that is going to be freaking bonkers. His last set was so freaking good. Yeah, the music scene, once all this is mellowed out, is going to be freaking wild. You've had artists pent up for months just making tracks. Like, so many albums are going to drop. So many tours are going to happen. We do have the company buy us beer sometimes. Nice. During work, that's always a nice treat. Yeah, a good friend of mine. He was an art director for a company, and they literally had a keg on tap. Just literally right there. It's like, yeah, if you want to work and have beer, go for it. As long as your work's done, that's all we care about. One time, that didn't seem for maybe like a month or two, and he's like, yeah, kind of started packing on a lot of weight. I was like, oh, what's going on? He's like, oh, just there's free beer at work. It's like, you just have a couple of beer at the end of the day, and you start doing that every day. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, but there's a free keg. You just have a beer. But yeah, beer on company dime, always good. Let's see, what's the last wing position? Wing position's down. Okay, coming back up. So you doing puppet animation, Josh? Are you working for an animation company or a video game company? That's one style of animation I never did get into in school. Not that it wasn't offered, it's just the classes that I took just it didn't line up. Working for an animation company, TV stuff mostly, but have gotten into a teeny bit of feature work. Oh, nice. Yeah, one of the companies that I work for, they did a lot of CBC children's programming stuff. It's safe money for the company. It's the easiest way to put it. Not exciting work by any means, but when you have the Canadian broadcasting system flipping the bill, at least you're getting paid. Which is always a nice thing. Yeah, the one company that I was working for, they were absolutely killer and on time if you were on payroll, but if you were subcontracted, oh my god, it's like pulling teeth to try to get money from them. Always got to remind myself, doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be there for a split second. As long as the face isn't like super like whacked out and distorted, I think it'll be fine. Let's set the rotation back here. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back down a layer. Get rid of that. Just doing a little bit of cleanup. That's fine. That's fine. got all those cleaned up already. Okay, yeah. That one. Let's see. Plus, sometimes pausing and seeing a funny in-between frame is a lot of fun. Yeah. It's just like, oh man, I got to move that, that character from here to here. How am I going to do that? And they're like, oh, time to stretch him out. Yeah, actually, I follow. I can't remember if it's on Instagram or on Twitter, but there is a dedicated either Instagram or Twitter to just squash and stretch in between frames, and it's pretty goddamn funny. Yeah, smears, yeah. It cracks me up. Let's see, I'm just going to see how this is looking. And let's do test check. 4. 2D camera effects. Go like that. Let it do its thing. And bring this up. Test check 4. There it is. Let's bring that up here. Yeah, it's so fast you can't even tell. Cool. Well, it's looking good so far. All right, I should say it's so quick you can't see my shittiness. That's that's how I should reframe that. Yeah, we've all seen the Naruto in-betweens and those awesome smears that are going on there. The classic Sasuke with his face off. but it's stuff like that where you know that the animators are having fun. You know they're having a blast doing that. Yeah, for the longest time, I was wanting to get like into animation or video games, like just to take a break from tattooing. Just looks really cool. Oh, thanks, Mom. That's awesome. I'm glad that you like the way that's looking. Hopefully, all of it looks, or I should say, hopefully, all of it plays quickly enough where you won't be able to notice my shortcomings as an animator. But yeah, wanted to get into the industry for a long time. And then when I did get into it, that's when it really kicked in. It was like, this isn't what you want to do, you dumbass. It's comic books, dumbass. It's always that pull, that thing that's always been in the back of your head, gnawing away at you. But what I learned by being in the industry was invaluable. Like getting to see behind the curtain, getting to see how things are actually made. really seeing how close it is from the production of it being created, the writing, the storyboarding to the animation, and really understanding that like a lot of it is this razor thin edge of by the seat of your pants, and that's why things end up the way they do. Uh, Very rarely does it, appear that there is a grand master plan for stuff. Everything just seems to be like, you know, like, is this spaghetti cooked? Throw it at the wall. Does it stick? All right, that one works. At least that's the impression that I got. And then once I got that impression, I was just like, oh, nobody knows what they're doing. Everybody's just, winging it. I was like, I can fucking wing it. Let me make comic books and wing that. I was like, at least I have a, grand vision for the story arc. Like, at least I got that. I was like, that puts me ahead of the game. Yeah, I might reach out to what's his name? I can't remember his YouTube name off the top of my head, but he's the guy who did the animated Star Wars TIE Fighter thing, and he does like live streams and stuff like that. So I might reach out to him just to have like a chat with him about animation, how he's doing it, all that kind of stuff. I think it's important too to have like as much as we're all comic book nerds here, always good to have people from other disciplines popping in and see how they're doing stuff, what their struggles are, how they approach things. In the end, we're all trying to just make cool shit, We're all just trying to do our part with what we got and get our stories out to people. And he chose the method of animation. And for a dude who's doing solo stuff, he's doing killer work. Absolutely killer work. So I think it would be fun to pick his brain. Now, as far as other interviews, what would you out there in the chat like to see as possible other avenues of interviewing people? Because I do have leads into the animation world. I do have a couple leads into the music world. Just trying to figure out, like, because that's the other thing too, is like I also like talking to other people. It's one of the things from tattooing when I quit from it that I missed the most was just the ability to sit down and chat with people that I've never talked to on a regular basis. And when I came back to tattooing, that was like one of the first things, like, oh my God, I get to talk to fucking weirdos again. This is great. How many more drawings do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more frames. Oh my God. Let's speed this up. Draw like molasses. Always got to remind myself. It's okay to draw fast for this stuff. That was one of my biggest hurdles when it came to doing storyboards. Was drawing quickly and kind of not being precious with it. You know, even though you're trying to convey the story and all that kind of stuff, you're not making a final image. Like your stuff's not going in a book. It's not being used for that. Its goal is just to be used to convey the information to the animators. But at the exact same time, you have to stay on model because everything gets shipped. I shouldn't say everything. I'd say like 90% of everything gets shipped overseas. So it has to be on model. And I think this is where a lot of the newer places in modern animation, especially within Canada, I think this is where a lot of the quote unquote soul is leaving the animation, if that makes any sense. Because back in the day, yeah, you'd have the storyboard artists, and then they would give the rough storyboards to the animators, and then the animators would bring it to life. But now that's kind of been pushed onto the storyboard artists because they're essentially now keyframe animators and storyboard artists and first wave story directors. And because it gets shipped overseas, they want zero interpretation on the animator's part. So they want it as bang on and as close as possible to the storyboards. That way, it cuts down on production costs. So from a production point of view, I get it. But from a life of the animation point of view, I think that's where they're definitely losing a big chunk of the soul of the way things look and feel. But what do I know? Oh, no shit. And the reason that it's been taken out of house is because animating is very very time consuming, and especially traditional hand drawn animation, like frame by frame stuff. But it always comes down to production costs and how they can cut production costs so more money gets funneled to the top, just like any other company, any other business. And obviously that's why 3D has made such a big impact in 2D animation, because you can just design the thing once and then animate it in 3D, but there's something in that is lost. I don't know what it is, but if you have a 3D object in a 2D thing, and if it's not done right, it looks out of place no matter how well it's done. I think some of the teams that are pulling it off really well, though, Arc Systems, the ones that did Dragon Ball Z Fighters and the new, what is it called? The new Guilty Gear that's coming out. I think they have been able to hit the nail on the head the closest out of anyone to figure out that whole 2D, 3D hybrid bridge where it doesn't look completely out of place. The 3D characters legit look 2D. And it's only until they do certain things. And then it's just like, yeah, that's obviously a 3D character. But for the most part, it looks fantastic. Like if they came out with a 3D movie or they're like, oh yeah, this company is now going to be doing animation for this cartoon. I think a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, they can pull that off, no problem. There'd be no hesitation on hopping on that one. And I'm always keeping my eyes and ears open in the 3D world, which is why I'm always paying attention to what's going on with the Blender community, because there's stuff going on there that people are not paying attention to, like their whole grease pencil thing. If you haven't seen the power of the grease pencil, just type in grease pencil animation Blender, and there's a couple things that'll pop up, and it's super impressive. The integration of 2D and 3D. One of the guys that I follow on YouTube is called Spitfire Storyboards, and the way that he uses all the stuff for his storyboards is super intuitive, and I think that's the way that storyboards are going to go in the future, even for small scale production stuff. Because again, if you give the producers and the team more tools to use that doesn't cost them anything, they're going to use them. And anybody who can use those tools is going to become a valuable asset. So anybody out there who's looking to get into animation, I would heavily suggest learning how to use Blender, at least for doing storyboards and working within a 3D environment. Even though, Harmony Toon Boom is the industry standard right now. But it's going to become a lot harder to deal with Blender over the next couple of years, because first off, it's free. It's always updated for free. There's tons of tools available for use, plugins that do tons of tasks. So for a production team and people that know how to utilize that stuff, it's going to become very valuable. Oops, stomach's growling. Now, the only reason that I keep my head in that world, even remotely, is because, like, I do love animation, but not enough to the point where I want to be part of the industry anymore. I saw the path of where it goes, where it leads, what you have to do, and none of it interests me whatsoever. Like being in storyboards, like I hopped in, feet first into the deep end, which I had no idea. I thought storyboards was just like any other, job in the pipeline. I didn't know it was a very coveted job, like I was just fucking like, oh, okay, cool. I'll just get it. Like, oh, what pays, the most decent wage? Is like, oh, storyboards. Okay, well, I'll do that. End up going out, hanging out with people from, the first place I go working with. And they're like, oh man, like, how long you been in the industry for? One guy's like, oh, I've been in the industry for, seriously, for 6 years, but off and on for about a decade. I was like, oh, that's awesome. How long have you been doing storyboards? He's like, oh, this is my first year doing it, and I'm so nervous. I'm like, really? Why? He's like, oh man, been toying with the idea for years on doing it, but never really thought I was good enough to. And yeah, this year's the year that I did it. He's like, how long you been doing this for? It's like, oh, this is my first gig. And he's like, what? It's like, yeah. I just applied for the job for doing storyboard revs, and yeah, I got hired. I was like, you have no experience? Like, no, none whatsoever. And he's like, what? It's like, yeah, I got no experience doing storyboards. This is I got a little bit. A buddy of mine, trained me up, got me up to speed on a couple things, but for the most part, yeah, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. And he was just like, "What the?" It's like, how hard could it be? You just draw pictures and get the story across, right? But yeah, I had no idea that it was a very, very coveted job in the industry until I started looking into it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why people want this storyboard gig, because when you get storyboard job, that leads to storyboard supervisor, which can then lead to director, which can then lead to being a producer. And depending on where you want to stay in that stack, that's where you start making the most money. But that's where you find out, are you the person who actually enjoys drawing, like the actual art of drawing and putting pen to paper and making things come to life? Or are you the type of person that likes managing people who do that? And that's the thing. I was just like, oh, that's where the path leads, is to managing people. F this, I'm out of here. Yeah, the last gig that I worked on was doing storyboards for shit, what was it? The Hollow season 2. Team was great. Partner that I worked with, oh, just a killer storyboard artist. She worked on My Little Pony for I think like 3 years straight, and yeah, she knew her stuff inside and out. Super like just so fucking good. Like when I was talking with Jose Garcia, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've done storyboards for like DreamWorks," and I was like, "Okay, I know exactly your makeup, because I've worked with people like you. You guys are fucking amazing." So it was super cool that Jose's coming over to CG with his Lumina Vox project, because knowing how quickly uh, storyboard artists can draw, once he puts his nose to the grindstone, you will be getting your project or your product from Jose. Yeah, the only thing that's going to slow that dude down is literally just having to be on the streams to promote it. Yeah, it's a huge advantage being able to draw as quickly as they do. I am so envious of them. Green with envy. But one of the things that I did see with a lot of storyboard artists is they lose the ability to do a finished complete drawing. It just becomes something that's just foreign, because they're just like, why would I finish this? Like, it's good enough. It reads on off to the next thing. Yeah, I do got to figure out how to use the camera controls in this thing properly. The zoom in out method with the way that I did it for this one, not really stoked on how how it worked, but I might come back into this once I have this all animated and then figure that out. I'll see. I'll probably just leave it. It's one of those things where, finish not perfect will come into play. Oh, tummy. Sounds like a walrus trying to escape out of my stomach. Brrr. And then once it's all drawn, Paul, catch you later. Thanks for popping by. And yeah, hopefully next stream I'll have somebody else on. I got a couple people lined up for next week. I got Hex Allen coming on. We're probably talking about Nephilim Squadron. And I got who else? Donkey. Let's go by. Donkey Madness and Shotgun Samurai. So I got them on next week, which will be good. Provided that all things line up, But as with today, you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming by. All right, I think I'm going to do this last frame here and then call it because, well, draw streams on Twitch are okay, but draw streams on YouTube, it's like watching fucking grass grow. Thumb on that.
I just felt like a mining outpost for bronze, taking a ship back and forth. So That's all I did last night. That was so annoying to deal with. Like, honestly, building off the floor is probably what I have. Because
What did I do? Why is this not?
yeah, it's like you gotta travel the whole way. That would be great though. Wait, what? Oh wait, you don't have
Oh, okay, there it is. I was wondering where it went.
Oh, you guys don't have any boards. You want me to bring 2 boards? I have a lot. I have like 7.
The window's way too big. Right here. Let's flip that. There we go.
You guys are a lot more optimized. That story's like, I mean, I organized my desk, but like, it takes me time. The batters in this game are so weird. I hate them. I hate them so much. I hate the bobbing. Yeah, I did something stupid. I didn't know that you couldn't place campfires on wood, so I built it like a big platform for campfires because the smoke kills you, so that's annoying. Damn, I gotta. Wow, this is a lot more stress.
Just a little cross-eyed there.
I'm actually jealous. I suck at building. It's really fun in this game. This is so much better. I'm actually jealous.
Let's bring that chin in a little bit. So there we go. Not so long chinny. And flip that back, flip that there, flip that back. Oh, and there we go.
No, you need 2, and they each take 1 core. You can make at least 1 teleport, or at least 2 teleports. So that goes to 1 location. So, no. It's 1 per. Oh, no, it is 2. Never mind. Yeah.
Look at these wings. I just want to say thank you for everybody that popped by. Everybody that's watching this on the rewatch, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I will be having on more guests in the near future. Like I said, I'll be having on Hex Allen next week. We talk about Nephilim Squadron as well as Donkey Madness, talking about his current campaign, which is Shotgun Samurai, which is live on Indiegogo, both of those. And be sure to sign up for Caius, A Story of Blood and Stone. Issue 1 and 2, the mailing list is available now in the description below. And that's going to wrap it up for me. Again, thank you everybody for coming out, having a good time. Glad that I was able to do a quick live stream. You can see the animation progress here. I'm going to be finishing this up tonight. I'll be posting that on up on Twitter, and I'll tag a couple of people in there. But up until then, that is it for now. I will talk with all of you very soon. Where's my stream cards? There it is. All right. Peace out, everyone. Have a good one.